Let me explain and set the scene. This is ground view. It's a double poison bird. The longer one is shot and thrown first. The short one, which is an under the arc scenario, is thrown second. And they throw the poison bird, and then there's one planted so it's in exactly the right spot. And after they throw the shorter poison bird, they pull it in so that, well, the fairness factor to have every poison bird exactly in the right spot. And that's smart because if one's a little shorter, one's a little longer, well, that's going to be an advantage or a degree of unfairness for some dogs. Actually, they pull in both poison birds, but they've got one planted on a specific spot because, well, they play a huge role in the challenge of this double water blind. Well, you see, you run the right-hand blind first, which is just outside that short poison bird, and there are 3 pieces of water on line to blind 1. There are actually 3 pieces of water on line to blind 2. This is a drone view. Obviously, you're not going to get that on game day, but we talked about using Google Earth to get a real overhead perspective on the site you're at, and you could have done that here. Remember I said blind number 1 had 3 pieces of water? That's the 82-yard blind on the right. Note the wind direction. It's a good judge's wind. It's blowing into shore. If the dog fades with the wind, it makes cheating the water a little bit more enticing, doesn't it? Blind number 2 runs by a corner of water, the first one on the right, angles a channel. Look at that angle. If a dog squares that angle, puts him right on top of that poison bird number 1. Then you re-enter the water past the poison bird, and there's actually quite a bit of water there that you see from overhead that you don't appreciate when you're at ground level. You catch a tip of a point, you've got to get on land on the left, and then you got to get back in the water and swim the remainder of the 180 yards to the dike to pick up the second blind. All right, here's that view right over the handler. He's lining up for the right-hand blind. Now, we have an elevated view here over his head. This is the view, once again, you'd love to have when you're running, because that third piece of water, that little corner, you really can't tell from the line. So this handler, well, he's getting ready to line up. This is the view, him lining up for blind number 2. Now, the loudspeaker says, test dog to line. You want to get a front row seat. And if you're like me and you're not very tall, you want to get up front. Let's watch our test dog come to line. Signals for the poison bird. There goes the long one. It's hard to see there, but here goes your short one. Splashes. Now there's this delay. You're going to want to watch your dog's animation level here. You see how they're pulling that as if it was a cripple crawling away. Well, here he goes. Pulling a little bit here. It's water number 1 right there. Now watch this right here. Woo. See that move? Because there was something that went on right there. You notice when the dog crossed that first piece of land, where did he break? Away from the water. Gets a cast. He misses that second piece. Picks it up. There were 3 things that happened there that I want to note. The first one is what the dog did when it crossed this first spit to this spit, a fairly narrow channel of water. But you've got to envision that dog's view. When he gets here, well, what does he see in the background? A big lake. And he broke left, shows up somewhere over here, gives a right-handed cast. Now, mind you, these handlers could not see this water, nor could the judges. But you can bet your dog did. And, well, he showed you that because he came up here, gives the right-handed cast. He kind of skirts around this corner, picks up the blind. And when he picks up the blind, does he come back straight or does he dart around that water again? He not only came out when he hit that first spit of land and juked left, he came up on the next spit, and when he cast right, well, he avoided that little corner, and when he picked up the bird, he cheated on the way back. So those are all indicators of what state of mind this dog is running in. Now, you're about to do the more challenging blind. Now, I'll put it this way. That was a pretty good blind. Had a few whistles, stayed pretty much on line, and I don't believe there was much, if any, consequence from the judge's standpoint for the behavior he did that I just described. How is that going to play a role? Is it dramatic foreshadowing? Does it give me some insight into what I'm likely to have happen on the next one? You bet it does. You bet it does. And here he comes in. Animated, hot. I'm buckling up. I'm getting excited. I'm trying to pretend I'm online. Where does he look right away? He knows him off the short poison bird, makes him re-heal, and he's having a little trouble healing. He has to argue with him a little bit. Sends him real firmly. First cast. Good whistle there. Well, he's got to get him. No, he's got this poison bird. All right. Handler's being pretty defensive. He's doing a nice job here. Managing his route. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hold on a minute. Did he see the poison bird? Did he smell it? Could be both. He certainly saw the gunner. Remember the behavior that went on blind number one? Pretty key point here, right? I mean, this is do or die, is it not? Man, you got to get this cast. And you're on the edge of your seat. Remember, you're visualizing, you're the handler, you're right on line, and you're about to give a very critical cast. Throws a big voice in, trying to punch him into that water. I don't think the handler could not see the dog there, so he just kind of knew by his behavior. He better get another whistle on him and punch him across. You can't see him here. This is one of those out-of-sight zones I talked about. Oh, that's where you want to get a little taller. He's got to get on his tippy toes. You've got to tell yourself, I need to look where I don't want to see them. There's two places I don't want to see them. Probably the first and worst is coming back for that poison bird on the piece of land. But when he's out of sight and you've given that second verbal cast, your attention needs to be over here on the left. You see where the dog is? He cast right in here. Gives that first left-hand verbal back, stops him when he can't see him, gives another verbal back. He throws his hand up just in case the dog can see him. And then all of your attention needs to be over here. And, well, there's where he showed up. Well, let's see how this plays. You know it's going to take more than one or two whistles. Dog autocasting, Jake's towards land. Handler's really digging in. All right. He re-enters. He's in the water. If he breaks left, you can't see him. If he's online or gets a little right, you can see him. But he's swimming across now, and he's right up in here. Blind is there. Just remember. Well, there he's got it. We're going to look at the same test dog, but I've got some different camera angles because these are the things that now you're going to visualize. You've got the perspective of what you witnessed, but you have to maybe close your eyes and think about some of these from the dog's perspective when he hits these key reentry points. And I've got a reverse view, which is really, really insightful because some of those places where we couldn't see the dog, we're going to see what happened from the back of the blind towards the line. And again, you're going over this over and over and over again in your mind. Before I ever run this blind, in my head, I will have run it 10 times. Now you're regaining control. Makes them back up. 2, 3, 4, 5. Took 5 reheals to get that dog to comply. So you're buckled up. You're ready for a little bit of a battle here. This could very easily be you. And they're off. Breaks a little bit left. Going left because there's the water on the right. It's our first whistle. You're going to see some good angles here. Well, there you go. There's the angle from the back end. Dog stops. Gets another whistle right before the channel. Watch this. You're going to see where the dog takes this cast, watch how he wins, and sees that bird. Woo! Intense time. Remember we talked about this is where we couldn't see him. We couldn't see. Boom. He still wants that poison bird, doesn't he? See, the handler could not see the dog there, but he blew that whistle. He knew based on that. Look at him. He's still wanting to hunt. Handler can't see him here. Remember I said, look where you don't want to see him? Boom, he pops out on the left. All right, and there we are. Look at the background. Handler goes silent over. He's going to do it again. Dog still wants to hang on to land. This is where the dog autocasts. Uh-oh, he's going to land. We better buckle up here. All right, dog's tail's cracking. Remember, he gets him into the water at the end. He finally fights his way through it. But what I showed you here was what really was going on. All right. Plant the blind. Here he goes. You saw a few of the things that were going on at the end of that second blind that you didn't see from the line, but it makes more sense. The handler made some good decisions. That was a never give up attitude. Watch this right here. Okay, dog is in that same position, right? The handler blows almost in exactly the same spot that the test dog was in. Well, let's see how this plays out. Dog gets that last piece of water. He's willing to go out to sea. Now, you got to pick up the bird. You got to get up there. But has he prepared himself to tackle that long blind? Has he maintained the discipline and the water attitude? Let's talk about the right-hand blind. He got all of this water over here. Remember, there's that out of sight area. You see it? But he gets this water. Remember, he got him stopped here, cast out. He had to cast back onto the point. Dog comes back. He's being honest. He feels like he's with me, but I'm not going to get lulled to sleep here. I get a reasonable start. This dog is in exactly the same spot that the test dog was in. And his handler's about to give the same exact cast. Let's see how this plays out. What are you going to do here? Poison bird's on the right. The blind is almost directly over the dog's head. We can't pick up the poison bird. We don't want to, but we don't want to go too far left and dive up on that piece of land over here. So we're right here. Poison bird is right here. The blind is right there. So this is going to require a left-handed cast. Let's see what he does. Okay, so he gave a fairly big cast. He added voice, but he got more than he wanted. Maybe he would have wished he'd have given a straight up left, but I said, it's not the first mistake. If you call that a mistake, I'd say to myself, maybe I should have gone straight up verbal. But if he'd have spun the wrong way, wouldn't it have been a shame to grab that poison bird right there with that good right-hand blind and a good start here? But that whistle right there, key. Gives a right hand. Oh, okay. Now the dog's on that point. This handler blows the instant this dog's front feet hit dirt. Dog doesn't move right away. Right there was profound. So the dog has just hit the dirt. I want you to stare very closely at this dog. Remember, we just saw the cast the handler gave. He gave a right angle back silent. Dog didn't move right away on the first one. This is what I tell my people and I tell myself. When you give this right-handed cast and the dog starts to go to the right, the minute his momentum shifts back left is the instant we're in trouble. I got to catch him as quickly as I can. I have to anticipate the dog not taking this cast. So he gives this cast. And right there, the dog's momentum has shifted back left. I better be blowing here. He blows a double whistle there. Beep, beep, a little stronger, a little more intense. The dog's got to feel your presence. He needs to feel the chill of the whistle here. This, without a doubt, I've been here, I'm not going to say a million times, but I've been here a bunch, and you're going to be here a bunch. And this is what separates great handlers right now. Watch this. You see him wait? He's sweating this dog. He blew that harsh whistle. I mean, he is in the ready stance. He's waiting. He's making this dog wait for his tempo. He's got that eye contact. I say you're sweating him a little bit. You want the dog to be a little concerned, and you want him to be very aware of your control. Sweat, sweat. He goes to cast. And boy, he got the cast, didn't he? Now you got to cast them back online, but you got to be a little careful. You don't want to cast back behind that point. That was an inspirational thing to witness. That's what I'm talking about when you watch a seasoned handler and you see somebody on the ball like that, blowing whistles at the right time. You could feel the passion and intensity. The dog could feel it. He was being proactive. Now the dog was being compliant. That doesn't hurt either, but I've got to believe what he did on blind one right over in here, folks. Remember, he stopped him right here where the test dog was. He got this bigger cast. Dog was actually going to go by the point, handle it back up. And boy, oh boy, that was a fun thing to watch. I love it. And you're going to love it. It's going to inspire you to do what that handler did. It doesn't get any more exciting than this. This is why we do this. I've done this a long time and still gives me goosebumps. And it needs to give you goosebumps. And it is fun stuff. You're going to be ready. You're going to be this handler. I'm telling you, you're never going to give up. You're going to have passion. You're going to have intensity. You're not going to be panicky. This is what makes champions.